First, I'm going to tell my name. My name is Sabina. I'm married to an Argentinian, so we speak a lot Spanish at home. I believe someone of you is from Spain, right? No?
But they are not
Spanish
here.
buttons.
They're not here.
Okay.
But some of us speak Spanish.
And you do, so you can speak afterwards. And which other countries? France, I think we have, perhaps? Poland? Malta?
Germany?
Turkey? Germany?
France.
More countries, Sweden, of course.
Yes, that's all.
That's all.
And China.
And China, of course, we have China, Sweden, and Brazil. It's a mix of many countries. Actually, I was in Germany last week.
Ooh, where have you been?
Yes, I've been several times, but in Bonn.
Oh,
We
okay.
had the Europe Direct annual meeting for all the Europe Direct offices in Europe. So that was nice. First of all, I just want to tell you a bit about Europe Direct. I don't know how much, if you've heard about it before. Has anyone heard about Europe Direct?
Yes.
Yeah? So I'm going to take it very shortly. And that we are 20 offices in Sweden and 500 offices around Europe. And the responsible authority is the EU Commission, European Commission. And in our case, in most cases, the host organization is a municipality, and the Europe Direct office is located at a library, for example. But in our region, Skaraborg, you know that our region is called Skaraborg, perhaps?
I haven't talked about that.
Well, then you know now. You are in Skövde, but Skövde is like the capital of the region of Skaraborg, okay? And I work at something called the Rural Economy and Agricultural Society of Skaraborg. Our head office is in Skara, Skaraborg. It's easy to remember. So it's our host organization for the Europe Direct office in Skaraborg. And the target groups that we have is the general public, of course, students, teachers, associations, local organizations, municipalities, companies. So it's kind of all we include in our target group. And the mission we have, well, the mission that we have is to inform the general public about the EU and its rules and programs. Like today, I'm going to talk about some EU programs within a specific topic. And stimulate discussions and local initiatives, work for increased exchange between areas in Europe, and also to support the development of different kinds of projects. So that's the main things we do at this office. And we do seminars and we take part in conferences, and I do speeches like this, for example, in different topics, depends on who the target group is. I'm out very much on schools as well. And when we had the European elections, I talked a lot about that, why you should vote and so on. But today, I've been asked to talk about the possibilities for women and immigrants in EU projects. So that's what I'm going to talk about. And first of all, I would like to just mention the sector programs. I know you are now in Leonardo da Vinci, right? And that is what now, in the new period, will be called Erasmus+. Perhaps you know. They're all included in this Erasmus+. So I think you know quite well what that is. And Creative Europe is another program. It's within culture. Europe for Citizens, the ones that I've highlighted are those that I will talk a little bit more about. So those are highlighted. So Europe for Citizens, I will talk a bit more about that soon. Life, it's within environment, employment and social innovation, I will talk about that too. Health for growth, COSME, that's competitiveness of enterprises and also small and medium enterprises. Rights and citizenship, I will talk about that too. Legal Enquiries and Horizon 2020 Investigation and Innovation. I think you have seen some of those programs before.
Customer program Stefano told us in Poland last night.
Interesting, yeah? So first of all, this Europe for Citizens. Have anyone been involved in a project with Europe for Citizens, perhaps? Yes? And you were from?
Poland.
From Poland. Mm-hmm. The main, or what you want to do with this program is to contribute to citizens' understanding of the EU, and to foster European citizenship and to improve conditions for civic and democratic participation at EU level, and also to raise awareness about the remembrance, common history and values, and encourage democratic participation. It's all about knowing more about our history in Europe, and that we feel that we have an identity as Europeans, and that we get to know also what rights we have as Europeans. They made an investigation that only 43% of the Europeans know that they are European citizens. They just think they are from Spain, from France, from their countries. But they're also members of the European Union when you are in EU member states. And many of them feel that they haven't been well informed about that. So it's very important to inform about it. And the amount of money that they would have within this program is 229 million euro for this new period. So in this program, it's also very good to work, for example, to know about our countries and differences, of course, and what rights do we have within equality, for example, like for immigrants or women as well, children, disabled, and all that. And another sector program that I said I would talk about is this one, Employment and Social Innovation. And this new program integrates and extends the coverage of 3 existing programs that perhaps you recognize. The Progress, the EURES, I think a lot of you know, and the European Progress Microfinance Facility. And the Progress is a program for employment and social solidarity. So in that area we can say that we talk about equality, for example, between men and women. We talk about the possibility for immigrants as well to get an employment, for example. And the amount of money that we have here is 850 million euro for this whole period and for whole Europe. And I was about to show you a short video, if it works, and it's about 2 minutes. So it's about this program, okay?
The European Union's set of policy measures, Agenda for New Skills and Jobs, brings together public employment services, governments, social partners and the European institutions to achieve a better functioning labour market and more jobs by 2020. To succeed, there is a need for flexible contracts and working arrangements on the labour market to be coupled with adequate employment security. Unemployment benefit schemes should motivate people to look actively for work and create income security, while public employment services must provide more targeted support. Education, training and retraining must equip people with the skills needed today and in the labour market of tomorrow. investing more resources into anticipating trends will give us a better understanding of tomorrow's skills needs. Skills and qualifications gained in one EU country need to be recognised in all others. All this will result in a better match between job seekers and job vacancies on the labour market. European legislation is being constantly reviewed to make sure that all workplaces are fairer and safer. The EU aims for a productive workforce and a dynamic labour market that generates high-quality, sustainable jobs, and especially new jobs in both traditional and new fields. To sustain the current European social model and our way of life, at least 75% of people aged 20 to 64 must work. The agenda for new skills and jobs, a multi-action strategy to increase employment and encourage economic growth, brings together all the actors and tools necessary to achieve this goal by 2020.
So that was a small, short movie about this employment and social innovation. And has any one of you been a part of a project within this program? Or within of these Progress and Juris?
Progress.
Anyone with Progress?
Progress. 3 years.
Yeah? You're very active. That's good. And to continue with the sector programs, we have another one that's called Rights, Equality and Citizenship. And this program shall contribute to the further development of an area where equality and the rights of persons are promoted and protected. And as you can see here, we have several objectives that are promote non-discrimination, combat racism, xenophobia, homophobia, and other forms of intolerance, promote rights of persons with disabilities, and promote equality between women and men and mainstreaming. And further on we have to prevent violence against children, young people, women and other groups at risk. And that was Daphne, what it was called before this. Promote the rights of the child, ensure the highest level of data protection, promote the rights deriving from union citizenship, and enforce consumer rights. So all this is included in this program, Rights, Equality and Citizenship. And it's very clear that you can have projects about equality for immigrants and women in this program that are priority target groups in this. And I was actually about to give an example myself. I've been involved in a project within Daphne when I worked in a municipality. Nearby, it's called You. They have the slogan, I love you, because the city is the same pronunciation as you. So. And we had a project where we raised awareness about domestic violence. And the reason with the project, the purpose with the project was just to raise awareness that it exists, what can you do, and how can you help? And those that are involved as well, how can they have courage to talk about it to anyone? And we actually think we achieved something after 2 years, because after 2 years, there were more cases reported about domestic violence. And of course you would think, why is it worse now? But that's not the case. The thing is that they dared to report it. They've heard about it and now they were aware and they said, no, I'm not going to accept this. So we think the numbers that they increased was something because of this project that we made. So we did raise awareness. And within this rights, equality and citizenship, You can have training activities like staff exchanges, for example, workshops, development of training modules, and you can have, like I said, awareness raising activities, dissemination, conference, etc., etc. So all the actions that are funded by this program must produce results for several countries of the member states that are within the project. And normally in this program, you are like 3 countries at least, and you apply directly to the European Commission to work within these projects. And you have a lead partner. Who is the lead partner in this? Is it Sweden? No? They're not here, the lead partners. Okay. Because now I'm going to talk a little bit about structural funds. They are different from the sector programs because the sector programs, as I said, you have to apply directly to the Commission and you must have at least 3 countries. Within the structural funds, you can just be your own country. You don't need to have several countries. You can, but you don't have to. And in each country, they have chosen local or regional or national authorities that are responsible for the money that they get from the Commission, and then they hand out the money, or like giving out grants to those who apply within this area. And we have 5 structural funds, and I've already, and again, I have highlighted those that I will talk a little bit more about. And I think you recognize them: the European Regional Development Fund, you know, the European Social Fund as well. The Cohesion Fund is a fund that we Swedes cannot apply. We don't need it, perhaps. It's more for those countries that are less developed, so they can apply for the Cohesion Fund. The European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development and the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund. Then I will ask again, just as I'm curious, if any one of you have been working or is working now within some of these funds? Yes?
European Social Fund.
Yeah. And you too?
Yes, I find the idea.
Social fund as well. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm going to talk a bit more about. And also I can say that within these funds, all the projects that you work with have to have the connection to the European 2020 strategy. That we will get more jobs and, you know, and so on. So, the European Social Fund invests in people, and it's with a focus on improving employment and education opportunities across the European Union. And it's also the purpose to improve the situation for those that are most vulnerable people at risk of poverty as well. So this fund will concentrate on 4 thematic objectives that are promoting employment and supporting labor mobility, promoting social inclusion and combating poverty, investing in education skills and lifelong learning, enhancing institutional capacity and an efficient public administration. So these are the priorities or priority areas within the European Social Fund. And for that, we have 80 billion euro for this period. So we don't talk about million, 80 billion. So it's quite a lot of money, and it's necessary. It's really necessary.
But you mean every country search or apply for their own project?
Yes.
And it's 80 billion for all?
It's for the whole period and for all Europe.
Yes.
Yes. So employment is the most effective way of giving people independence, financial security, and the sense of belonging. It's really important. So it's to help people in difficulties and those from disadvantaged groups, for example, to get skills, to get jobs and have the same opportunities as others do. And it's also a large amount is also dedicated to those that could come into social exclusion, like people that, for example, face difficulties or discrimination. It could be a disabled man, a disabled woman, for example, and they cannot get a job because employers, they doubt their abilities, they don't think they're able to manage the job, and they get excluded. That's really difficult. Could be those that are recovering drug abusers, ethnic minorities, for example. Recent immigrants with poor language skills, it's also very tough. And these are all examples of disadvantaged and vulnerable groups at risk of social exclusion. And the EU wants to combat this. They want to give all the same opportunity. So this fund is really trying to help people that are in this situation. I'm going to show you another short video.
Making sure that Europeans have the right skills for the right jobs is a big challenge, and one that the European Union and its member states are tackling together through the European Social Fund. Every year, the EU dedicates more than 10 billion euros to the European Social Fund, to which the member states add their share. This money is used by those organisations who are best placed to understand what's needed locally. Improving education, creating new job opportunities and supporting businesses, supporting people to start their own business, investing in better public services, helping people to learn new skills, offering career counselling and mentoring, helping disadvantaged people into work. Every year, the European Social Fund supports and trains more than 10 million people. The European Social Fund, investing in your future.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you some example of projects as well. Yes?
A question.
Mhm.
This kind of fund is, I mean, you apply for it or you participate a program which is financed by this fund. I mean, what is the
How you
bureaucratic
apply, you
process?
mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because in every country you have authorities that are responsible, and the European Commission gives them the money that supposed countries go to get. Then you apply to that authority if you have a project. You make an application, as you always do in those procedures. And then they choose between all the applications. I don't think they can approve all of them. They approve those that really goes to the priorities and they are following the criteria. I think they have a system where they give points, like if you have more points, then you will have more chances to get it approved.
So Carol and someone else applied for this kind of fund.
Yes,
Yeah, but
not the authority.
And
As she's saying, they give you points on different criteria, and if you reach a certain amount.
as organization, the Foster Foundation applied for,
application.
and so they give you some points and
According to
Fine.
the criteria.
Yes, yes. Mhm. Well, this is an example from, I think it was from France, actually.
This is a project financed by
Yeah, this is a program financed by.
European Social.
Yes, yes. So I just wanted to show you, I will show you two examples, because you can find this website yourself if you want to look more on it. And well, this project was about it was about women, equality and employment. So they wanted to get more female immigrants into unemployment, give them unemployment. And I will show you another one. I think it was from Germany. Here we have, I think there are two examples. Well, we look at the second one. It's a project in Berlin. Where are you from?
We are from Leipzig.
Leipzig? Yeah. Leipzig. They help more young people from migrant backgrounds, help them to undertake vocational training. That's another example of what you could do. And there are plenty of examples on this webpage. You can ask me afterwards if you want to know the webpage. I'll let you know.
Is it a public website or is it?
Yeah, it is. So it's open for everyone. Yeah, ask. Or we can talk afterwards if you want.
Yeah. Or maybe, I don't know, Foster Foundation and Visa can talk about
Examples.
yeah. What do you do exactly with this kind of project? What's the aim?
In our case, it was ESF, a project to train IT people in government employees. We organized training, obviously, we collaborated with training organizations, and people from government in ICT were attending courses and seminars in New York.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's also included in this. But there are plenty of examples on this webpage from all countries in Europe. Oh, sorry. Well, I'm not going to talk very much about this fund. It's just that I want to mention it because within this fund, Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, we have what now still is called LEADER. I think perhaps some of you have been working with this. No? Yes, you have? And now it's going to change name. So the new name is Community-Led Local Development, but I will have that on the next slide. So just to say rapidly what this European fund does is that they safeguard the vitality of the countryside and that the EU countries choose measures suited to their specific needs and manage their programs themselves. It's the same, like I said, it's an authority in Sweden, for example. It's Jordbruksverket, agricultural measures, and they decide what is important for us in Sweden to work with. So then when the Swedes apply to this authority, they have decided upon their own priorities. So the EU doesn't put priorities to each country, but each country does it itself. And there is 36.1 billion euro for this period. And this is also typical landscape for Sweden, I think. I don't know how much you've seen in Sweden. Have you been to Sweden before? Any one of you?
First time.
Yeah. The first time? And it's raining. Well, it's raining everywhere in Europe. So this community-led local development is a program to strengthen the rural economy by encouraging local people to take action at the local level. And also women and immigrants are groups of priority in these projects. And I can give an example also when I worked in this municipality, that I talked about. I was one of those in this group where you decided about projects. And then we had an example of a project with women, and they were immigrants, and they tried to integrate them with Swedes, and they made that by arranging like handicraft lessons that they could teach each other about handicraft. I thought that was really nice.
Ulla,
Yeah.
maybe this kind of fun could interest both Camilla and Robert.
And here you can also work with other countries if you want to, but it's not compulsory. You can just work with your local organizations or regional or national or international.
And maybe should near a big city.
I don't think so, Camilla. You are
But I live in the forest. With
Yeah.
all the houses.
Yeah. Well, that's good enough. Well, this leader, you that are from France, the abbreviation, could you read it for me? Would you know?
Liaison, attraction de développement de l'économie rurale.
Sounds good.
So, it means that, do you want me to translate?
No, it doesn't. I just wanted the right pronunciation. And, well, that's activities, coordinated activities for economic development in rural areas. That's what it means. But now, as I said, the leader is going into this, to community-led local development. So that's what it's going to be called. So if you don't hear anything more about leader, it's nothing strange, because it's going to be this. Yes?
You have any of the projects in Scotland?
Oh yes, there are plenty. But you mean exactly with women and...
This development in...
Yes, there are. But right now I don't work within that decision group any longer. So I don't have... There is a web page that I can give to you, where you can go in and search, because there are so many. Because the projects don't need to be so big. They can be small projects, so it can be like 500 projects just within Skaraborg. So I just gave you an example of this project with women and immigrants. So there are plenty. And I think all countries in Europe are very active within this area, I think. Yes.
In Sweden, the work with this kind of projects are delayed, so we can't search for funds until July next year, I think. So
That's true.
but look at the time plan.
Yeah, plenty of time to plan for it. And this, if you go back to the page before, this agricultural fund is also very delayed. So the community-led local program is going to start earlier than the rest of the fund. So this perhaps will start. You can start applying the fall 2015, and you can start the projects 2016. So it's really delayed, unfortunately. But then you have a lot of time to plan, as you said. So I think that was all that I had. And this is my name, phone number, and email. I have my cards with me if you want to have one and write to me later. And I can stay for a while. I would like to hear the projects as well that you will talk about. And if you have any questions or something, you can just... Or do we have any questions now? More questions? Perhaps? Was it clear enough?
Yes, and this Europe Direct, as you inform us, they are in the countries, in all countries, Turkey, Germany.
Yes.
And project partners, do you have contact with Europe Direct in your area? You have? Are they useful for you and your organization?
Yeah, we collaborate with them because we are very close with the labor offices. They know where the beneficiaries are.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you win a project, it's hard to find the beneficiaries. So we go Europe Direct, the labor offices, so we pass it to the
Yeah.
continue.
That's very good. Because we have a broad network. I mean, we have a network with the European Commission, European Parliament, and contacts that you can take advantage of, actually. So we can help a lot in that. Partner search, for example. We don't write applications, though. I don't know if they do.
No.
We don't write applications. We don't lead the projects.
No, of course. What's important
Yeah.
is
We give information and we try to inform.
you have other type of
Yeah.
partnership with other projects between
Yeah.
other Europe direct in other countries. So
Mhm.
maybe
Yes. In our case, we have this Rural Economy and Agricultural Society, whose office in Scotland, that can write applications, but then you have to pay. So it's different. All the service that we give from the Europe Direct Office is free of charge. European Union based. And the region. In our case, it's 50% the European Commission and 50% is the region from West Sweden. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for inviting me.
Yes, nice to have you here.